thank you to the viewing audience for joining us for our second United Community Corporation program discussion. We're going to be talking about the impact of our programs, specifically the youth education and employment services, the impact that we're having on the community here with our young folks. And my name is Craig Mainor. I'm the Executive Director for United Community Corporation. We are the oldest community action agency in the state of New Jersey, and we're located here in the city of Newark, New Jersey. And to my left, your right, I have Tasmeya, who is the director of our YouthBuild job training program, and she's also representing the very important program department of the Youth Education and Employment Services, and Tasmeya is here to join us today.
Hello, everyone.
All right, so we're going to just jump right into it. And Tasmeya, thank you for taking the time. I know that your job is really busy, and I know we've got 3 grants that we're working on right now.
Yes.
And any time away from the office, I appreciate you coming in and having this discussion.
I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Yeah. So, Tasmeya, let's just jump into it. Can you just talk a little bit about the Department of Youth Education and Employment Services? What does all of that mean, and what does it look like for our agency?
Absolutely. So the YEES department houses a few different programs. Our YouthBuild program, which again I oversee, our NJBuild program, as well as Restorative and Transformative Justice. We also have AmeriCorps under our department, and we also do our youth inclusion initiative through the Department of Environmental Protection. And that department services a range of young people between the ages of 13 to 26, amongst those programs, and it really just provides the opportunity for young people to receive education, support, job training opportunities that leads them to employment or post-secondary or further training in terms of placement.
Yeah, and so, and just connecting that department and all of the things that you just listed and all of the not listed activities that you guys are involved with, because we all know that when we are dealing with children, we're dealing with youth, because these are 16 to 26-year-olds, is that the age range?
So for the entire department, we start at 13 to 26. Each program may specify on a particular age group, but as a range, it's 13 to 26.
And when you're dealing with that range, 13 to 26, we know that we have to be ready to be not only the trainer, the teacher, the case manager, caseworker, but also, the friend, the disciplinarian. So I know that your job, the work that you guys do in that department is much wider of a responsibility. So I wanted to, again, thank you for coming. But can you just help me and the audience understand how that department's efforts and activities, the things that we just discussed, how those things help meet the mission of our agency?
Yeah, so specifically with our job training across the programs, our young people are able to receive industry recognized credentials, and the training that they take are within in-demand careers. And so they're able to, when they obtain these credentials, to move again into employment that provides a sustainable living. When we talk about enhancing the lives of our youth, we're touching those areas, and we're approaching it from a holistic, standpoint, working with the whole individual rather than just, whatever barriers they may come with, or, giving them a high school diploma if that's what they need, or doing a construction training program. We really want to provide wraparound services. And so, again, with our mission of moving young people from dependency to self-sufficiency, it looks like that, just to make sure we're covering all bases and providing support.
That's right. And one of the things that I think is really important when you're running a program like that within an agency like ours, we're a multi-service agency. We have programs that help people with food insecurity, rental assistance. We help them pay down some of the high energy costs that we're all suffering through, unfortunately. But also, we're also providing hot meals, housing, as I said, housing assistance. And so when you talk about the whole person, we're working to serve the whole person. If you can, maybe you can point out an example of a student, and you don't have to give a name, but just kind of the general idea of that student that may come in and needs that whole person, holistic approach.
Absolutely. So we have had a young person in the past come to us experiencing homelessness. And in addition to that, there was some mental health concerns and things that they were dealing with. And wanting to find a place that could not just cure, right, or by the snap of a finger, make all of their problems and things go away, but just a space that provides an environment to know that they will be supported, and providing that young person or connecting them even with departments within the agency like our housing, department and our food pantry if they needed food, right, because without a place to go, they may not have access to food. And within the program, providing hot meals, because staff is not just about the work that they do, but they're invested in the work that they do. And sometimes that looks like cooking a hot meal, and working with our partners and other organizations in the community as well as in-house to really, again, provide those wraparound services. So if they come to us, and again, this young person, many years of homelessness when they came to us, since they were 12. And as much as it was a journey for them, because they may have been in and out of the door for like 3 years, but they always came back because they knew we provided a sense of family and security for them. So in all of those areas, and they went through our construction training program, received their credentials, and they're doing better for themselves, right? We can only hope that they take away something, but we definitely provided a whole village, and again, with the agency and other organizations provided.
Do they come back? I imagine, as you mentioned, that they're in and out of the program. Maybe there are many starts and stops, right? Because when you're a young person and you decided that you want to better yourself, the betterment of yourself sometimes comes as a big challenge. And so I understand that the start and the stop may be that they thought they were ready, they weren't, and they left, and then they decided to come back. But can you just talk about what the aftercare services that you would provide in your department for those students who have actually started stopping, but they've actually succeeded? Are they able to come back? And if they are, what does that look like?
Yes, absolutely. So the first thing we say is our doors are never closed. Whether a young person is ready then or ready, later down the road, our doors are never closed. And all of our young people, we stay connected to them with the way that the grants are written for a full year after they leave us, to provide any additional supportive services if there's employment challenges that they're having, or just to get those success stories even beyond us, right? Because they'll reach out to us and say, hey, I got a promotion, or hey, I'm doing this, or I'm going to college, I'm ready now to further my education, or just what I'm doing, or hey, I'm getting ready to be a parent, right? Like they will reach out to us in regards to these things because of that family sense that they have in the program. So, we, even after that follow-up year, again, we've seen alumni all the way back to 2019 when we first got the grant for YouthBuild, and so they always make their way back around because they know that we're there for them in the long run.
Yeah, no, it's important. So you're not only creating a safe space when they're there, you're also creating a safety net for those who have left but also need to return. And I think that's a very valuable part of all of our programming, but specifically for those young people that need the additional help. Can you just walk us through each of these 3 programs, the YouthBuild, NJBuild, and the RTJ, which stands for Restorative Transformative Justice? Can you just give a brief explanation or a summary of what those programs are?
Absolutely. So for our YouthBuild program, that program services youth 16 to 24. And that provides construction training as well as specific training in healthcare fields such as CNA, home health aid, as well as dental. And the young people are able to come to us, obtain a high school diploma. They can come to us if they already have one. And between both New Jersey Build and YouthBuild, we provide the same core components as far as life skills, job development, case management, leadership development. But NJBuild services youth. This current grant, 16 to 26. And so the age gap opens up a little bit so we can just provide services to those older youth. But that program is just for construction in terms of women and minorities. We service with both programs the entire state, surrounding areas such as Newark, Irvington, East Orange, in which most of our target population comes from, those low income and disadvantaged areas. So those construction or training programs that we offer, they're able to choose. And some young people do multiple programs, but they have the ability to, again, come in, design what their vision for their program time looks like with their individual development plans, and just to map out their goals so we stay all aware and committed to what their end goal is. So from start to finish, they're able to design what they want to get out of the program, but we also provide mentorship and take them on college tours and job fairs and things like that, because the end goal is to find employment placement or to go on to post-secondary. So we provide all those things.
So why is it important for us to focus on workforce development? Just in case there's some folks who don't understand why this particular department is focused on the young people with workforce development. Why would you think that is important?
So it's really the opportunities and the exposure. A lot of our young people, and when we talk about moving from a place of, for some of them, uncertainty about what their future looks like, right? We want to provide them with the opportunity to think bigger than a lot of times when they come in the door thinking that they can achieve in their potential. And in terms of workforce and our job development and career readiness, we really want to set them up to be able to, I guess you could say, live a fulfilling life in terms of what that looks like for them. Like, we don't dictate that you have to go to college, or that you just do a construction training program and this is how it's meant to be. But some of them come in again as parents and having families, and eventually one day wanting to do that if that's what they choose. And so they need to be in a position to be able to do all the things that they want. And we talk about in our YouthBuild and NJBuild pledge that they're creating their dream life. And so whatever that looks like for them.
It's important, because they can't achieve it, they can't see it. Right. But many of our young people aren't in a position to see beyond tomorrow.
Right.
And so I imagine that during your intake and then your process to get them onboarded, that there's many conversations about the importance of seeing past tomorrow. And yet, sure, maybe you don't necessarily know that you're going to be living in the same house next month, because unfortunately a lot of our young people are facing some type of homelessness or a threat of homelessness. But to be able to see 2 years from now, once you have your certifications, to be able to start planning out what's going to happen for me when I have to start being a responsible adult in the community. So I appreciate that. And also, what I think is important for the audience is that we reiterate that you are not creating their success plan. They are creating their success plan. And so this conversation goes through, with the young people, goes through all of the phases of what is success, right? The definition, how I define it, may not be the way that others define it. And so your conversation with the young people, do you find that part of this onboarding difficult? Or do most of them have these really kind of concrete ideas about what success means for them? Or are you helping them identify and define what success is?
So I would say it's a mixture of both. Again, dealing with the age range, those who are closer to that 24, 26, they probably know or have an idea of what success looks like for them. And then, our younger population may need that motivation, that push. So it varies. But for those who kind of have to really sit and have those conversations, I wouldn't say it's necessarily challenging. A lot of times what's challenging is just those barriers that need to be addressed. And again, if it's homelessness or food insecurities, because we can't expect them to come in and commit to programming, 1,000%, and their lights are turned off at home or there's no food. So we have to address those things first before they even see what construction is going to do for them or what getting my high school diploma is going to do for me. It's really those barriers that they're looking for support in to say, okay, now I can kind of breathe and move forward and focus on my future.
Focus on the future, and I imagine that you have some of your participants who have children of their own.
Yes.
And so the vision of what's going to happen for me after tomorrow is exponentially more important when they have someone else that's depending on them.
Yeah.
Can you talk at all about any specific or general case of a student with a child and what the agency is doing for that family?
Absolutely. So I just thought about a young lady that we had who child care for her was an extreme barrier, and we put in place with the help of the agency to not only find and take her to child care providers, but to cover the cost of programs for parents and just helping her even from the agency alone to pay for those child care services so she was able to come to the program and safely drop her daughter off and know that she's somewhere safe and to come to the program and do what she needed to do. We've also created an in-house daycare at some point, and young people, if they really needed to, were able to bring their kids, and staff would jump in and say, hey, let me, you go to class and let me, take her or him for a couple of hours, just to make sure that you can focus, right? So we've gone, in different directions to make sure that our young people have that support, whatever that is.
It's about removing the barriers,
Yeah.
as you said, and so childcare was not a barrier that we would allow a new parent to say, I can't come to your training program because I have my child. And so, and that means a lot to not only them, obviously the child, the agency, but also the community, right? Because at some point, through the success of our programming, that young person and their childhood, that's just that young person is going to be better because they spend time with us. And that time getting their certifications, their high school diploma, job interviewing, hopefully job placement. So I don't want to preach, this is not mine, but I definitely feel and know the strength of our programming. And so there was an example, a great example of a former student who was homeless and went through our program successfully and now has entered into college.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about him?
Absolutely. So that was just our current cohort. Young man came to us through Reach for Life, who's our educational partner, co-enrolled in our YouthBuild and NJBuild just to give him some additional time to, get to the things that he needed. But college for him was kind of a question mark. When we talk about the ability to go and what financial situations look like, a lot of young people, for this young man specifically, he was not sure. He came to us seeking the help and also from our educational partner to just figure out what that path would look like. And as he went through the program and shortly before exiting or completing, he had enrolled in William Patterson and he's currently there now. He had started in January, the spring cohort, and is doing phenomenal. Like staff took, because this is what we do, right? A step further and didn't just assist him with, getting what he needed for his dorm or helping him with the applications, but staff took that ride with him and, took him to, get settled in and, celebrate him in that moment and things like that. And it was funny because when he started, I think it was his first day of class, he ended up sending a picture to one of the staff in our department, like, look, I'm in class on time because y'all taught me how to, be on time and be punctual, and so I'm here, I'm in class. And he was so excited, and I just, those moments, and those true, success stories are what make this work so rewarding. And so he's doing phenomenal. He's come a long way. He was also experiencing homelessness and through partnerships was able to get temporary housing. And so he's doing amazing.
And now he's living on campus.
He's living on campus.
And he's attending classes on time.
On time.
There we go. There we go. All right. And so let's talk about some of the challenges or barriers you in your department may feel that maybe me or some people in the audience can help with, or maybe we can just bend together, because there's a bunch of things that I think that we as a community share as a challenge.
So the biggest thing that we've talked about for a while now, because we see it in every cohort, that there's at least one young person that's experiencing homelessness. And the great thing about YouthBuild and the global movement is that we get the opportunity to go and visit other program sites. And when we talk about alleviating that as a barrier, hopefully one day envisioning and create, in real time, some type of transitional housing or a component of our program that will allow young people to have somewhere stable for the duration of the program, and even afterwards if they have to, figure things out even beyond programming, some type of, housing component attached to our department that would help those young people, because it's very rare to find like a one-fit-all type of answer or solution. We help the young people as best as we can, with the resources we have in-house and connected with shelters and things like that. But to be still connected to the department and the programs in a different way that we're providing the housing component, and we can still create that sense of security with them even afterwards. Because a lot of times our young people, once they come in, there's things that we do in programming, but once they leave those doors, sometimes we have to rewire them when they come back to us because of what they experience. And a lot of times we just want to keep them a little closer. And so, homelessness is definitely the biggest barrier, one of them, that we would definitely like to figure out how to, create something around it.
It's heartbreaking when you understand that we're working with participants who are 13 to 26 years old, who are trying and attempting to correct their lives. Whatever challenges led them to homelessness, and whatever challenge led them to being displaced out of school. When you add homelessness into it as a young person, it can feel that the world is against you. And so I think a great value at what UCC does as a whole, United Community Corporation does as a whole, is we do that community wraparound, that big hug. If someone comes into our programs and they're hungry, we have a massive food pantry, soup kitchen, mobile soup kitchen program that helps support that particular need, and it's immediate. You don't have to wait. If you walk into a classroom, I'm going to preach a little bit. You walk into a classroom and you're hungry, you tell the instructor or the case manager or the worker there, and you don't have to wait until tomorrow. We can make a phone call and get the food. So I'm really proud of the work that we do here. I always say to anyone who would listen that I would have been a client. My mom had 3 boys, and we stood in line for the food distribution in our local community. We also needed after school and before school care, and I would have definitely been a candidate for the job training had it been around when I was 13 years old. So it's really important that we get that message out, and I'm really happy that you're spending this time talking about it, because you are on the ground, you are facing these participants' challenges every day, and and not only am I appreciative of you taking this time, I appreciate the work that you guys are doing at the department. And so, I want to just talk a little bit more, if I can, so I can get off of the soapbox that I end up getting myself on. Just a little bit about what you envision are the strengths. Aside from my soliloquy I just did, what are the strengths you think of dog? And I know I gave you a whole lot of it. It's okay, I can rephrase it if you need me to.
I definitely think that for our young people, just continuing to meet them where they are. And I think we have to be, it's about intentionality, being proactive and meeting the young people where they are. A lot of times for our programs, with the exception of RTJ, because we deal with the in-school youth, but YouthBuild, NJBuild are those that are out of school, whether, disengaged for, attendance, things like that, or if they've completed. And a lot of times, they're in limbo, unsure about where to go. But I think that meeting them where they are and being proactive will give them a sense, and the community as a whole, as well as our department, just a sense that there's still work to be done. And I think that's what we can look forward to, because it's just never ending in terms of the support that our young people and their families need, because it's not also just helping that participant, but it's helping their parent, or helping their siblings, those who may be in the household, to move into a different way of living, a quality of living. So I think that just continuing the work, and be looking for ways to build capacity and sustainability with all of our programs, so programs like this can stay around, and just continuing to make those connections.
That's a good point. Capacity is definitely something that all nonprofits are challenged with, right? Not only getting staff, but retaining the quality staff, because you can't provide training that says you have to care, right? This is how you care.
Yeah.
Your staff comes in caring. You train them how to do the paperwork, or the process and procedures, but the caring part is something that and you don't see it too much on the resume, but I think that we may have touched on it, but if you can just talk about some of these young folks who not only have those challenges, but also may come to us with a criminal record, some type of criminal referral, where they may not have a choice but to be in the program, but any of that challenges that you may see.
So oftentimes, if it's mandated, they're not too happy about being there, but we create an environment, especially touching on those restorative practices, and that's utilized across all of our programs. Just providing that sense of or space for healing, and for them to take accountability, to bring about change, and really give them those same skills. A lot of times, those young people even enrolled in our other programs, just to provide those, again, wraparound services. So with mentorship, and a lot of times it's also staff is also cross-trained to be able to jump in, because it's not just the work of those on the YouthBuild team, but NJBuild, we all come together to help these young people, and we give them the ability to just see something different. The transformations, like I talked about, is really what helps us to continue, to come in every day, as much as some days it's not easy. We keep pushing, because these young people need us, and those who are just involved and come to us, they need a different outlook on life, because depending on what involvement they've had in the system, they're oftentimes just not too sure, and they're like, I am what my mistakes are. We tell them, no, you're not what your mistakes are, and you can grow from it, and you can, do something different and build something different. So it's really just about creating that specific program space and environment. Safe for them.
I think that's important too, that you are not your mistakes. You are not your parents' mistakes. And you can always build on what you are right now. And so I think that's really important as well. And I don't know how much time we have looking at the director, but I wanted to just, if you can, we mentioned the healing, when you were talking about the restorative transformation justice. Can you talk about the healing circle and what that entails, and how our young people are reacting to that?
So just in terms of restorative practices, and like I said, those are used across all programs. We start our day every day with opportunity to all come together and to start our day together. And then from there, disperse and, go into what the rest of our day looks like. Those specific circles of healing under RTJ is really geared towards sitting with a young person who may have experienced the harm, the one that, caused it, and to really get an understanding of their individual actions or, contributions, and having a different sense of, or a different perspective, so they can take accountability. And it's really just a conversation to make sure that restoration can take place, and, really feel like it's about that feeling. And for those who are the victim of the harm, a lot of times they don't want to sit and have a conversation or face that person, or vice versa. But
that would be tough.
yeah, it's really tough. But it's important to do that, because oftentimes you can't move past it until you've sat in it, heard it, and you can feel it. So those circles are definitely intentional with providing the opportunity for both parties to come together and just see their own experiences.
Yeah, I would imagine it would be tough, but also I can imagine how healing that could be for not only the victim, but also the perpetrator. The perpetrator. But and with that, the RTJ program, which I think is a fantastic program, that if anyone in our audience is listening, is really getting cut. The funding is getting cut, and there is a tremendous value to it with our young people. And so the way that RTJ program is working is that there are referrals, right? There are referrals from schools or the courts that send young people to us in our youth education and employment services program to engage them in either getting their diploma or trades, learning a trade, medical, and dental. But so the referral of these young people who have made a mistake into a program where they can not only correct that mistake, hopefully with the victim of that mistake, but also to start to design and work on themselves and better themselves more. That program, the funding, is kind of in limbo right now, and we are continuing at United Community College. We are continuing the program while it's unfunded, because we see the value that this program has, not only the community, those again that created this concern, but also the victims of that concern. And so, if there's anyone out there can help us reestablish that funding, because it is a much needed, much appreciated program option for young people who are facing some of these challenges: homelessness, food insecurity, education. Some of them come in and they come in well below the reading level and the math level that their age says that they should be. And so we're taking them, and as Tasmeya said, we're holistically approaching how to get them to envision beyond tomorrow. And it's really important. So, and is there anything else that I may have missed that you wanted to make sure that our audience knows about you, about the program, about the agency?
I've been with the agency since 2019, different capacities, and I would definitely say that YouthBuild has a special place in my heart. But again, I support all of the programs in the department, but YouthBuild specifically, because again, I understand what the movement stands for, and again, having the opportunity to go to specific conferences and events and see other YouthBuild programs, I'm truly amazed and honored to be in a position to give young people that same opportunity to again transform their lives, create their dream life, and it all just works together. Again, it's so rewarding, and for me specifically, being in the position that I am is so crucial, and I don't take it lightly. But they know how those moments feel or how to celebrate the small wins, but we encourage them to do that, and just that family sense is really important, and I love that about what I do.
Okay, you want to talk about that? Is the speed of all?
Yes. So that was one of our themes, and it's around that time again for us to start planning our next prom. But each year that I've done it, just to see the smiles and to dance with the young people and to have fun, to congregate with them, it's really been. I don't even know how to put it in words. It's an amazing feeling, and from the setup to the close down and just having that time with them, you definitely see them, and they get to see us in a different light, because a lot of times they may say, this home, I'm not sure if you know how to have fun. And I'm like, I know how to have fun. And they get to see that when they can see us in different lights. It really allows them the opportunity to just connect with us a little bit more, and that relationship building is also what I love.
We're just trying to fill the gaps of stuff that they may have missed because they're out of school.
Yeah.
And so I know that they appreciate it. I appreciate it. And so thank you again for spending this time.
Thank you for having me.
Hopefully some of our audience members have learned something about our agency. But if you're interested in learning a little bit more, please feel free to visit us at our website, www.uccnewark.org. That's www.uccnewark.org.